just between us?
I think for the most part, again, Terry's x-rays were negative. His MRI showed the same thing for the most part. So we'll continue to just monitor that, continue the rehab and the treatments and stuff. And, we're going to keep him off his feet for a couple more days and then start getting him ready once we get into next week.
Chase and Logan.
Chase, again, is just continuing to work on the side. He's got a doctor's appointment coming up. And we'll go from there. Everything's looking positive. It's looking in the right direction. Logan, things have been going well. He'll actually do some sideline work today, which is pretty exciting as well.
And then looking at, the future with Sam possibly, maybe you get this quarterback position figured out. How exhausting is it for an organization when you don't have that guy and the resources you have to invest in that?
It's a hell of a question because it's true. It is hard. My first 3 years, every year it was a conversation. Every year it was a point of discussion. Every year it was, well, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? And then trying to figure out what resources could you use. Do we try to trade for this guy? The amount of work that was done 2 years ago. I mean, it just, it was, you spent a lot of time. I mean, because you want to get it right, you try to get it right, and you know how important it is, especially in this league today. And I know, there was a really good stretch, especially under Coach Gibbs, that they were able to find that guy and have that guy available. I mean, you win 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks. You've got something rolling. And we're trying to find that, and we feel pretty comfortable, pretty good about the guy this year. We feel very strongly. I know I do going into this season that we've got a guy.
How differently do you feel about it this year compared to each of the last 2 years?
I think there's not that question mark still. You know what I'm saying? You always kind of, for 3 seasons, I've always felt that I had a question mark. And now you feel like, wow, it feels like, okay, this is pretty good. I mean, I'm pretty comfortable, pretty confident, and I look forward to seeing it. I really do. I mean, the other night, seeing it was wow. That he did some really nice things, and let's keep rolling, let's keep growing, and hopefully it continues.
Ron, you said the other night that you played Jamin and Cody Barton because they're relatively new to this, to each other and all that. What did you see on tape of their performance and Cody Barton in particular?
Well, I think the biggest thing for Cody is just got to get used to the style of play. We're a little different from his time in Seattle, and yet we do some very similar things in terms of coverages. But some of our downhill techniques are some of the things that he's got to get used to. The first game you saw him, he was really good with it. The second game, I think he was kind of a little hesitant to really get downhill. And I think one of the mistakes you got to be careful is that when you try to be right and fit it correctly and that guy cuts back, now you put yourself in a bad spot. He's done a nice job, I think, assimilating and trying to get a grasp of that. What was really good to watch, though, was his play speed, his quickness to adjust and to make up for that little hesitation. I love his communications with not just Jamin, but the whole unit. I think he's really starting to get a good feel for the guys. It's one of those things that again, the more he plays, the more reps he gets, the better he's going to be for us. This week, he'll get a lot of reps in practice, just trying to get everything honed up and get everything ready to go for the regular season, more so than anything else. Very pleased with Jamin. Jamin's playing fast. He won't be at practice today. He's sick. He's got they sent him home with some medicine, just so you know. But he's playing faster. He's more confident. You see his run, hit, and tackle. I mean, he is still really good at that. I thought some of the coverage stuff, he did a nice job putting himself in position. And really pleased with the progress.
For Jamin, obviously, he's got a lot going on off the field. We've talked a lot about him the last couple of years. You guys have gotten on him at times, even with us. Where do you see him at with him progressing? It's not enough just to be okay. Like, how's the progression for where you would want to see at this point in his third year?
Well, I think he's progressed to a point where you feel comfortable with him out there and knowing that, he's got a chance to make an impact. And I really like who he's become. I think he's the right kind of young man. And he can be a really good player for us. I mean, he's good right now, and I think he can really grow and get even better.
The Ravens game, you sat most of your defensive starters. What went into the decision to play, some of the starters on offense, the veteran starters on offense?
Like I said last time, the other day, Nikki, it was they got to work together. This is a new group of people that have to get a good feel for one another. Going into the game, we thought we could get them out there and play a good half with them. Back in the old days, that's kind of what happened. You played quarter and half the first game. You played the whole half the second game. The third game, you took them into the third quarter. And then the fourth game, you rested them. In today's world, you only get 3 games. And when you're trying to put something new together and sit down and you talk with the coaches, and they talk about wanting to make sure everybody gets a chance to continue to work together to get a good half in was really the target. And we were fortunate enough that we had a 2-minute drive. And that was another thing that, Sam hadn't had an opportunity to run. And so having all the guys out there and having it operated the way we needed to see it done, that was good. I mean, we ran 2 2-minute drills that night, and both of them ended up in scores. The only unfortunate of the whole situation was Terry got a toe injury out of it. We're very fortunate. We'll continue to, like I said, the monitoring process and continue to have him rehab it and get his treatment. And like I said, the doctors come up with a real good plan, and we're looking forward to having him back out on the field next week.
Sort of an off-the-wall question. What do you remember about 1999 training camp in Philly? I've heard stories about it. Just how
first
intense
of all,
it was.
it was unbelievably hot. Secondly, we didn't realize the terrain of the facility, going up and down those hills, how far the fields were from the facility, from where we were staying. It was an older campus, and it was good old-fashioned two-a-days. I mean, we padded morning, afternoon. We went straight, I think it was 5 straight days like that before the players got their first break and the coaches got their first break. And it was one of those things. And it's interesting because, I told you guys one thing that I wanted Eric to do was I wanted him to script and schedule everything for training camp, and he has. And looking at it, with the exception of it not being real two-a-days, it's almost very, very similar. I mean, Coach Reed has not really changed anything. He may have refined some things, but the bones of it is very similar. If we had 2-a-days, it might have been.
Got time for 3 more.
Apologize if someone asked this before I got here, but the state of the left guard competition, where do you think that's at?
All right, nobody asked, but I think it's very good. I really do. I like what we got from Sadiq, and I like what Chris Paul has shown us. A young man that's showing us that he's very capable of that guard. Ricky Stromberg has had a really good camp, so it's been a lot of fun to watch him and his growth and development as well. But right now I think Sadiq and Chris have done a really, really good job for us, and I think the big thing obviously is, we're going to decide, who's going to be the guy pretty soon. But if they continue to practice the way they are, we probably have to figure a way out how we can play them both. They both are stout, powerful young men, and they're both smart young football players.
By playing both, do you mean a rotation?
We'll see.
And do you anticipate Sadiq and or Chris playing on Saturday?
That will decide probably another day or two.
There was a scene before the game. It's you, Harbaugh, and Joe Gibbs. You two look like guys who were sponges trying to. What was that conversation like and that moment like?
Chick, that was a great conversation. It really was. First of all, I've been fortunate enough to have known Coach for quite some time, and I know Coach Harbaugh has as well. Coach has been somebody that I've been able to pick the phone up and bounce a thing or two off, and he has sent me a friendly text or a positive text or keep your head up text or good job text every now and then. So it's always kind of cool. So anytime he comes around, it's a delight to be able to spend a little time with him. And John and I, we got into talking about his days, the good old days, and he had his 2 grandsons with him. One works on the team and the other on his race team, and the other one's one of the drivers. So it was kind of neat to meet both those young men and how proud he is of them. That was really cool. But it was a neat experience just to sit there and continue to talk with Coach about football and life in general too as well, and family.
All right, thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
All right, cool. Thank you, guys.